Today is September 20th, 2011, and today is also the day that Don't Ask, Don't Tell is officially repealed in the United States of America. I received a message in the summer of 2010 from an anonymous gay soldier who wanted to share his story with the world, and he asked for my help. So, a week later, I made the following video. Dear Sean, you don't know me, but I would like to make your acquaintance. I am one of the thousands of gay soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen serving in the United States Armed Forces. Unfortunately, I can't give you my full name, but you can call me JC. I am sending you this letter to ask you to tell my story. I cannot risk doing so myself, but I would like to tell my story to further awareness of the damage that the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy is causing. Would you be willing to read this letter and tell my story in one of your videos? My story is a little bit confusing and convoluted, but similar stories are all too common in the U.S. military. I am a 23-year-old soldier serving in the U.S. Army and a full-time university student. I come from a long line of military service. I have been in the military for a total of over 4 years, roughly half of which was spent as a cadet at the United States Air Force Academy, where I was hazed and harassed to the point where I needed surgery to repair my shoulder, an injury that is still affecting my military career today, as I have had to have 2 more surgeries to fully correct the injury and re-injury of the shoulder. All this harassment was for being perceived as gay. Granted, they were right, but still they had no right to treat me like they did. Over New Year's 2007, while on leave visiting Vancouver, British Columbia, I was drugged and raped. A few months later, when I started to remember the horrible events of that night, I fell into a deep depression and had a total nervous breakdown. Of course, being a gay man in the military, I could not report it without risking my career, so I kept all the fear, rage, sadness, and pain inside. I had horrible nightmares every time I closed my eyes, leading me to avoid sleeping. I went 2 months with a total of 64 hours of sleep, which affected my judgment and grades. I made the mistake of going on a gay networking site on my personal laptop using the only internet connection that was available to the cadets, the military network, and I got caught. My grades plummeted from a 2.9 to a 1.56 GPA in a month and a half, resulting in being sent to an academic review board. Fortunately, my commander realized how dedicated I am to the military, and instead of initiating a Don't Ask, Don't Tell investigation, she decided to recommend an academic discharge to allow me to save face. Throughout this whole ordeal, I was still being hazed and harassed constantly, making a bad situation worse. On a daily basis, I was called a faggot and a queer, amongst other things, while I was simply walking through the hallways to and from class, the chow hall, the store, the gym, and even church services. I was humiliated and stripped of my dignity, and to add insult to injury, I lost a chance at a good career as an officer in the U.S. Air Force. The only good thing about this whole situation was that I was given another chance to serve the country that I love, but it was a blessing in disguise. In October 2007, I came out to my family. In March 2008, I met the man I call my partner. 2 months later, I enlisted in the U.S. Army and have been in for over 2 years. I love my partner, and I love the military. I am planning on having a long career in the military, but unless the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy is repealed, I will never be free to live the life I want to live with my partner. This fight is so very important to me, but I can't fight it for myself. While I respect Lieutenant Choi and others like him, I fought too hard to get where I am now. Please continue to fight for me and others like me. My hope is that my story can help others realize that they are not alone out there. You are an inspiration to the people all over the country. I cannot thank you enough for what you are doing for our community. Thank you for making a difference. Don't stop doing what you do. With much love and thanks, JC. On the eve of Don't Ask, Don't Tell repealing, the anonymous gay soldier posted the following video to his YouTube account.
Hi, my name is Jesse. I'm a soldier in the United States Army, and I'm gay. Last June, I sent a letter to Sean Chapin to ask him to tell a story. This was my story. I used the pseudonym JC to protect my identity, but I feel the time has come that I no longer need to do so. The story told how I was hazed and harassed while I was a cadet at the United States Air Force Academy, As a result of this hazing and harassment, I have permanent physical and psychological damage. I have sustained head injuries that resulted in permanent brain damage. I developed PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and I sustained serious injuries to my shoulder that required 3 surgeries to fully repair. These have affected my military career to this day. However, in a few short months, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy will be gone forever. And individuals like me, soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, who happen to be gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender, will finally be free of the constant fear and paranoia that we might lose our careers simply because of who we are and who we love. After nearly 18 years, gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and transgenders service members are finally free to stand up. I am finally free to stand up and say that I am a specialist in the United States Army. I am gay, and I am no different than any other soldier. I love, I hate, I fear, I rejoice. I find comfort with my brothers and sisters in arms, and I fight beside them with no animosity for any kind of hatred or bigotry that they might have. I am an individual just like they are, but I'm also a member of the United States military, and I serve my country of my own free will, and I'm ready to die for this country, and this country is finally willing to allow me to do so freely. In the next few months, I will finally be free to do so.
Dear Jesse, I can't tell you how humbled I was to have received your message last year on YouTube. And when I made that video, I was hoping that I did it justice. And I didn't know then when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was going to be repealed. I'm sure with everybody. And then when the senators finally voted last December to strike it down, President Obama signed it, and that set everything in motion. And finally the day has arrived. And it's just amazing. I belong in a gay chorus. We had rehearsal tonight. When the clock struck 9, we're here in the Pacific Coast, but we knew that when the clock struck 9, that meant that it was midnight in the East Coast, and we all just stopped rehearsal for about a couple of minutes, and we just whistled, cheered, clapped, stomped our feet, because we just went one massive step forward in America when it comes to LGBT civil rights. But when I say LGBT, I think I need to say something here. We still have a lot to do. We still have a ways to go, because even though our LGB soldiers are now able to serve openly, our transgender soldiers, and when I say transgender soldiers, I mean those who want to serve in the military, are not able to do so yet. And we need to do the work we need to do to make that a reality. And then once that happens, and while LGB soldiers are now able to serve openly, we need to make sure we protect everybody from discrimination, because that's always going to happen. I know that day is going to come, and I can't wait for that day to happen. I'm going to do what I can to accelerate that day so it happens sooner than later. But Jesse, if there's something I want to say right now, it's that I want to thank you for your service to our country. Because right now, our Constitution, even though it guarantees its citizens freedom, equality, and justice, I know it's not being applied perfectly to many of us. And even though that has been the case for, gosh, so many centuries, decades, years, you still enlisted in the Army. Countless others also enlisted in the Army who are gay, lesbian, and bisexual. And I just have to say thank you so much for doing that, even though Your country is not treating you free right now, hasn't been treating you completely free, hasn't been treating a lot of us completely free. Still, you're serving it because you believe the beauty in the Constitution, that one day it's going to apply to every single American citizen. And I can't thank you enough for that. So I want to thank you again for your message last year. I want to thank you for your service. I'm so glad you're able to come out. So glad you're able to say, I'm Jesse, I'm an American, and I'm gay, and I'm serving in the military. And now you can serve with true honor, to be true to everybody else, and to truly emulate a soldier in America. So I want to wish you all the best, and again, thank you so much.